Yeah, I originally was born in California, Long Beach, but after like 5 years, you haven't moved here. Basically,
All your schools here, right?
what?
All your schools.
Yeah. I did some basic stuff out there, like preschool, but nothing I can do. I'm staying home. But
I grew up in Kansas. I moved here from Minnesota. I've been here 2 years.
yeah.
I should. I should have. Busy actually.
Yeah,
Was it good?
I didn't watch it, but I just know that the one.
Yeah.
It was actually a good
I should
game.
watch that one.
Especially Taylor Swift dating that guy, it kind of became really popular.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to the Monday Mastermind. I'm Melissa Schwartz, the manager of the Paradise Valley Realty One Group office. I hope everybody had a good weekend and enjoyed some really beautiful weather out. We've got a couple of people online, and we should have several people on our Facebook group. Would somebody like to just make sure that it's going through? And I see people on my Zoom today, so the Zoom link worked. Thank you very much. So I'm going to share my screen and go ahead. Well, I don't know whether, hopefully, I have a screen open that I can work with. All right, this morning we are going to work on CMAs. If I can get this to move just a second. I need to open up Flex MLS. So if folks don't know, you can create a login on your desktop that says Flex MLS. If you want to do that, I see a lot of people that actually do a two-step login to jump through ARMLS to Flex MLS. You can do it as one thing. I don't know how many of you've noticed that you have to do logins on Flex like every, 3 hours. Oh, look, now it won't let me in. Well, that could be fun. Let's try again. Good morning. All right, we've got people in person here too. And we are going to do CMAs. So this is, you're seeing I'm starting from scratch. There is nothing here. I do have a saved search that I normally use, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. I usually save it as, well, I could update it and say 2024. I usually put the date in first, or the year, and then just say CMA search. I do have it flagged. And of course I can always do either CMA and it'll pop right up there. Now I'm going to show you how to create this. I'm not going to start with that. So let me go to quick search for those of you wanting to learn how to do a CMA. I am going to shrink myself down here though, so that I am, oops, that makes it really difficult. How do I do that? Wish I had another screen I could look at. All right, this is hard with this screen. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start with active or coming soon, but of course we're going to change that in a little bit. But one of the things that I prefer to do when I'm looking for a CMA, and let me explain, usually we're searching for a CMA when we have a property that our client has said, hey, can you tell me what this is worth? So we're usually starting with a property. So I'm going to go under that concept. And there are lots of different ways to get to that property. The way I like to do it is to use the assessor book and map. Now, I've got some people here in front of me, and a couple of them have already given me some MLS sheets. Can someone here tell me where on the MLS sheet you would find the assessor number? If you're looking at the sheet itself, is it in the top section, the top grid here? Is it in the middle section down here, or is it in the bottom? The assessor number. It's in the middle section over on the right-hand side, and it should say AN. It's the assessor number. Now, the book and map are the two first groups of numbers. So, and just so you know, behind me, you're going to be in a live video. You might want to go to a different computer. Just you probably want to be over there. Yeah, any one of the other ones other than that one. No, that's okay. So, book and map, the first number is the assessor book and the second one is the map. So the way to get something other than what is listed under here with quick search is you go all the way down to add a field. Now we're going to add a field by typing in, I don't have to do the full assessor, I can do assess, and it's going to pop up down here. So I want to add book and I want to add the map. Now, initially it will be at the very bottom. If you save this because it starts with an A, it will end up being at the top of your search. So we want to add those and we're just going to click right now, just a checkbox on there. Now let's go back up. All right, so normally, as I said, when we're looking for this, we're trying to look at what has sold. Now we probably also want to click on under contract accepting backups and contract contingent on buyer sale. How many of you know the difference between those two, by the way? Does anybody know what CCBS stands for? Can somebody here tell me? One of you?
Somebody has to sell their property before they.
So the buyer has to sell their property. So if you ever have a contingent offer as a listing agent, you click CCBS or you type in CCBS, not UCB, when you go under contract with that property. Just a quick tip there. Now we are going to also add pending and closed. And for those that did not know how to do what I just did, you press your control key and then you can click one on or one off. Off and on. There you go. Otherwise, if I just click, it's going to erase everything. And then I can do a shift bar and go active all the way down to close, and it'll do them all as a group. But your control key will allow you to do one or two. Now, obviously, we don't want 10,000 listings because there have been a lot of things that have closed. So we have to put a close of escrow date. So when we go here, you can toggle this little arrow back and forth. If you click that, it's going to take you from actual days that you might have been on the market to the number of days back. Now, I don't know why it goes to 184. I guess that's half a year. I'm not quite sure. I guess it works that way. It's not exact, but it's a little hard with 365 days, but it automatically puts 184, which is fine. It's just over 6 months, right? Or they're probably saying it's exactly 6 months, but that's the idea. You can change this to 365 if you are looking at something trying to go back that amount of time. For now, we're going to leave it at the 184 days back. Now, I usually, yes.
I'm just gonna ask, what's best practice for how far to go? I know the market's very dynamic. Quarter, I feel
Every quarter, great point. Every quarter it is about different. I would do usually 184. If you have too many to choose from, then you can tighten it. Normally right now, because we've had so little activity, you're probably going to have to expand it the other direction, right? We haven't had a lot of transactions because we've had limited inventory. And due to that, you might have to go back a year, or working with one of my agents this weekend, we had to look beyond a year because there hadn't been anything in that community. So you try to find something in the community to start with to get something similar and then work out from there. So again, part of the reason I use assessor book and map, but let's set up a few other things for your general CMA. Now, normally you want things in a tighter price point, but you don't want to miss something, right? So you don't want to randomly say you're only looking between $700,000 and $900,000 or $300,000 and $500,000. So you don't want too tight of a price point, because if for some reason something is sold in that area in similar to your property for, I don't know, your property is going to list at $450,000 and something sold for $800,000. You should see that, even if you throw it out because it's an anomaly, but you don't want to not see that. So for list price, I actually do have a bottom of $50,000. I know that's low, guys. And again, you can adjust this, and I've moved this to about $1.3 million to get a wide extreme on list price, right? Now, you could also not put a list price in, that's fine. What tends to happen is you tend to get, for whatever reason, some odds and ends of mobile homes or just odd things that will pop up like rentals for some reason that are pulling up. And by the way, you need to make sure that this says residential and not residential rental up here. But so let's go ahead. I like to save my CMA as a single family dwelling. Now, do I sell condos or townhomes or look at other properties? Of course I do. But my preset, I like to have set as a single family dwelling, okay? Because for the most part over my years, those were the main properties that I would be doing CMAs for. All right, so I will preset that there. Now, if I have a home that is a patio home, townhome, or as you all know, a condo in our system is actually called apartment style, right? Because a condo, if you remember from your school days, is only the square space right there. It's the airspace, if you will, between wall to wall, ceiling to floor. And the reason for that is a townhome, you own vertical rights, right? You own all the way to the down to the ground, into the ground, and all the way up vertically to the sky, right? Apartment style is just that box. So if you are searching and doing comps, be very careful. Don't select apartment style if you are comparing to townhomes or patio homes, because it's a very different type of property. You're not owning all that other stuff. You don't have any land that's a part of that. So it's very different. So be very careful about that. Now, you can jump below this, and I really wish Gemini was above apartment style, because a Gemini or twin home is 2 units that are attached, i.e. Geminis, right? They may have one wall that is shared, but you own land and airspace, right? So I really wish Gemini was above apartment, because people tend not to go down and click on that. We don't have a lot of them here, but there are parts of town where we do have them. So I encourage you, if you're looking at patio homes or even townhomes, make sure you're checking Gemini twin homes for comps, because you could have something. Then we go down to manufactured housing, mobile, and loft style. Now, I'm not going to click any of those right now. Whoops. Unless I accidentally do. There you go. No, I didn't. It was just picked it up from the side. So just doing single family. I'm not going to do city or zip code, because I'm doing assessor number, book and map. You can do bedrooms if you want to. If you're going to preset it, probably depending on the price point that you work, I would preset for 3 to 5. If you want to preset bedrooms, you don't have to do that. But you will have to come back and modify that later. Part of the reason I do preset is it makes me go back and modify it. If I don't preset it, I sometimes don't go in and make sure I adjust some of those things for the properties. So bathrooms, how many of you at this table have sold in Central Phoenix? Let me see hands. Mark's gonna raise. Okay, Central Phoenix. What is a unique element about homes in Central Phoenix that is different than in North Phoenix, Scottsdale, Buckeye, Goodyear, newer homes?
Bathroom,
What'd you say, Ami?
one bathroom.
One bathroom? No, not one bathroom. What's different? So I grew up here, folks. I actually am an Arizona native. And so in the home I grew up in, it was built in 1961. And what did the master bath not have?
A
tub,
bath.
a bathtub,
Shower.
a bathtub. So when I was growing up, well, what I learned when I first became a realtor is a bathroom had, oh, look, you can see my new, my nail polish for the summit. Look at that. See, nice.
Love it.
Okay, so a bathroom had 4 components to it: a toilet, a sink, a shower, and a tub. That makes one bathroom. That's how I was taught. Now, today appraisers do not use that. However, our system still has that in there. So when agents list homes without a tub in that master, or some of these homes going back to that and taking out the tub in the master, by the way, to make a big luxurious shower, right? Huge walk-in shower, no bathtub. People are going back in and putting 1 3/4. So please, on our system, please always search for 1 3/4, even if your client tells you 2 bathrooms. Because if you do not, and you have homes in Central Phoenix, 95% of the time you are going to miss properties. Okay. Where is the problem? Zillow doesn't have 1 3/4. You can put 1, you can put 2, right? And the problem is you don't want a half bath. They're like, no, I've got to have that other shower. I understand that, right? So in our system, make sure you put 1 3/4, put that as the bottom, not the 1 1/2, because a half bathroom is only a toilet and a sink, right? You don't get the other part of it, which is what people are usually talking about. Now, everybody would like an extra toilet, that's fine. But most people want to have the second shower so they can send the kids off and shower someplace else, please, right? So please, when you're searching, big, huge tip, because you will miss out on more homes than you realize. All right, I cannot see over here, so let me get rid of this on the side so we don't have that. Where to move you guys? Okay, so we've got bathrooms, we've got bedrooms, square feet. So Mark, what would you say? Rule of thumb is you kind of go up and down 300 square feet, two to 3, 500 square feet. Wow, that's a lot. Okay, I'm going to go to 300. But this is a generic one, right? So depending on the homes that I'm typically selling, what homes are you typically selling? You know, depending on the area you're working, you might put, say, 1,700 to 2,300, right? So that's saying that the property is a 2,000 square foot home, and we're going 300 on either end of that, okay? So please, again, this is something you can save, but you want to adjust that. If your property is not a 2,000 square foot home, you're going to come back in here and adjust it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about not adjusting it to exactly 1,700 or 2,300, because as you get to know your communities, you may want to adjust that. Now, I'm not going to put interior levels. However, I will tell you, if you have a 2-story home and your first search pulls up a ton of single stories, or vice versa, if you're looking at a single story and all you're pulling up are 2 stories, please go in and adjust that, because there usually is a huge discrepancy. Which one is more expensive usually? Single story homes are usually more expensive than 2-story homes. Why? Somebody says more in demand. Elderly people don't want stairs, heat rises. Okay, anybody else know why? Have a guess.
Expensive to build.
Single
Take a look.
stories are more expensive to build. I don't know about that. That's a
Isn't it usually more livable?
Larger lot.
larger lot. Well, certainly if it's a single story home on a larger lot, it's going to be equal land space, right? If you have a smaller lot, you can have the same land space with a 2-story home. So let's say you have a 7,000 square foot lot and you have a 3,000 square foot home. That's not giving you very much livable space on the ground, say in the backyard, except if you had a 2-story, you are going to have more space, right? You're all of a sudden putting the footprint to say 1,500 square feet, makes it much more usable space outside. So I think you've got the right idea though. Typically 2-story homes are built on smaller lots to put more properties in a subdivision, right? Another thing with that, if you ever see these subdivisions where the roads are really narrow, right? Often that is, again, to give you more space and put more homes into the area. You get more space, the driveways and the streets get less space. But what happens if you have a neighborhood that has small streets? What can you not do in a neighborhood with small streets?
Park in the street.
Park in the street. How come? Do you know why?
Yeah, because of the garbage pickup.
He says garbage pickup. What else? Fire truck. It's actually emergency access. So the reason HOAs have parking restrictions is not to annoy you and not for the trash trash containers, it is because of emergency access. It's city regulations that if the streets are not a certain width, you can't park there because of ingress and egress of emergency vehicles, unfortunately. And that's why if you ever think, as a part of an HOA, you're gonna get that overturned and be able to park on your streets, you are wrong, because it's a city regulation. The HOA has no control over that. Right? The agreement was made with the city when the developer built the property, and they agreed that no parking would be on the streets because of emergency parking. And I remember being in a subdivision where people were like, oh, we're gonna change this. Well, yeah, good luck on that one. Yes.
How do they regulate that in streets without a?
Usually there's not a parking regulation if it's a streets without an HOA. Because it wouldn't have been a developer situation. So you could have a neighborhood that perhaps they didn't have those restrictions back in the day. But new construction stuff built since, say, I'd say 1990, wouldn't you, Mark? Since 1990 with some of these, and that's when most of our HOAs really started to appear, is by the 1990s. Almost every subdivision had an HOA. And the builders had to agree with city regulations and county regulations. So,
Also because of water. Their HOA,
oh, HOAs were created because of water issues. I did not know that. See,
they had to retain their own water
interesting. Okay.
with, retention areas.
Oh, retention areas. Well, that was a flooding issue, not for water use, but yeah. So, yeah, so the comment is the reason HOAs were created was to deal with runoff from rainwater. And so you will see more neighborhoods that have say a recessed area, a playground or a grassy area that is to contain the water for that neighborhood so it doesn't run down city streets and move on to the next place lower in the community. And I know when I built in a new home subdivision years ago, the backyard of your own home had to be designed to take whatever water runoff from your property, from your rooftop. It had to be able to stay in the backyard. It was not allowed to roll out of the neighborhood. So when you put a pool in, you had to basically create a little decrease in the landscaping area if you had a pool, so that if the pool started to overflow again, that it all stayed back there. Of course, my landscaper said, oh yeah, you don't need to worry about that. I'm good. I'll make it all go out front. And I was like, no, you won't. No, you're going to do what you're supposed to do. But they didn't want to do that. All right. Approximate square foot. So we're going to do that. Again, I'm not going to do interior, exterior levels. Now, year built. I'm not going to put this in as my generic, but if you are working with a property that was built in, say, the 60s or 70s, and you happen to be in an area where there's new construction that was built, make sure you are putting in some type of year built, put a range around, say, if it was built in the 70s, put 1965 to 1978 or 79, so you're getting similar type construction. You certainly are not going to compare a 1970s home to a home built in 2000, even if it was updated. But yes,
Even if it was updated?
even if it was updated.
Down
And
to the stud?
well, okay, if it was down to the studs, that's fine. But most of them, when they say they're updated, what are they not updating?
The plumbing, the electrical.
Plumbing, electrical, air ducts. So the mechanical systems are still from the 1960s or 70s. And that's a huge difference. If you think about our technology just in the last 10 years, there's a huge difference between a home built in the 70s and a home built in the 90s or 2010, right? And part of that, ironically, is there are times I would rather see an air conditioner from 1982 than one from 2010, because most likely the one from 2010 is going to kick the bucket before the one from 1982, which is not energy efficient. Don't get me wrong there. I understand the efficiency isn't there, but I'll bet you anything it could work another 10 or 15 years because things were built to last. All right, subdivision. Now, this is one that I used to have fun with Mandy over. And because she used to love to search by subdivision. Here's my justification for not doing it. How many of you are good spellers? How many realtors are good spellers? Anybody want to take a guess? Right?
Copy and paste.
Copy and paste. Yeah, but see, here's the problem, Ami. If the listing agent did not copy and paste, then what you are searching for, you will never find because they put it in wrong. I'm not saying you can't copy and paste. Thank you. That's a great idea, right? But if you search by subdivision, the lowest common denominator is somebody else probably spelled that wrong. And by the way, how many desert ridges are in Arizona? Does anybody know?
Oh, yeah. So Desert Ridge this, Desert Ridge that. And I found out when I was looking, the first time I was looking for a subdivision, it doesn't auto-populate it for you. Like you literally have to write the whole thing. So
Yep.
I didn't find like 3 subdivisions. I was like, I know they exist because someone's telling me. But unless you're really putting the exact name in there, you're getting nothing.
At least 10.
Well, my point on Desert Ridge is there's Desert Ridge up here north of us, which we're very familiar with. But by the way, there's a Desert Ridge in the East Valley just as well. And so you start putting Desert Ridge thinking you have everything right here. And all of a sudden you're looking at stuff in the East Valley. It's like, wait, why do I have a price range that's totally different? It's like, well, there you go. All right. So I'm not going to do anything else down here. I'm not even going to put pool in, but you can certainly do that. Now, one of the challenges with a pool is, oh my gosh, look at all the choices, right? Really difficult if you're selecting pool because guess what? If the listing agent or the seller didn't click they have exactly what you're putting in, then you're not going to match it. The best thing I can recommend is click in not of no pool. Double negative. It means give me a pool. Right? I mean, that's the only one I can recommend if you really want to find a pool and have no restrictions. So up here, you can change, whoops. You can change the and or not. So I do not no pool if I'm really going to do that, but I'm not going to do that for my general thing. But that's just a tip if you're ever searching for something with a pool and not trying to figure out which box somebody's checked. Right. So, and if you,
Usually check a lot.
and if you don't want an above ground, you can check not an above ground. So you can do that.
Like fence, lap.
Right. Otherwise you're checking everything. Right. And again, parking features, here's a tip. If you are looking at homes in Central Phoenix, please do not put a 2-car garage because guess what? Homes built in the 1960s and 70s were built with a 1-car carport or maybe a 2-car carport. Now they may absolutely want that garage and it's a requirement, but make sure you pull that out to see on your searches whether or not they're missing 90% of the properties in that area and have that conversation with them. Now, that has nothing to do with our setting our CMA though. So now right now this has 12,900 because I haven't done an assessor book or map. Now, I'm being quizzed here because I got 2 things from folks here. Apparently, both of them are interesting. Are they in the same area? They're pretty close. Okay. 2 different agents gave me this. So I'm going to do an assessor book and map here. 156. And what you do is you want to get that same book. You don't want you don't want a range of books. You just want one book and you want one map. So, oops, that went down there, 05. And it doesn't really matter which one you set this to. This is only going to give me 1, thank you. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to save this, right? So if you want to save this on your computer so you have your CMA search saved, go ahead and click save search. I suggest you label it 2024. Right? So save search and it's going to be new. I'm going to do 2024 CMA. All right. General. And when you detail it for somebody else, then you can save it as a new one. Again, it'll come up as existing. but I'm gonna save that right now just so I have it in there. Okay. So this is only giving me one listing. Well, that's a problem, right? That's not what I want. I don't want just that property. I want to have some other stuff, but I'm going to bet you I know why this is going to have an issue. It's a 2,200 square foot property. So let's edit this search because I'm out of square footage, right? So let's go down here. It is a single family home. It is a 4-bedroom. So that's going to fit with my 3 to 5. That's fine. But the square footage is 2,200 square feet. So it is 2,277. So let's do, in this case, I will do 1,900, 2,227. So we'll do 2,577. Okay. Now, remember I said earlier, as you get to know neighborhoods, be careful using a flat number. When I used to do a lot of new home sales, you would find that builders don't build to 1,900 square feet. They don't build to 2,000 square feet, right? It's 2011 or it's 2,114 square feet, right? Everything's got these weird numbers there. So if you put 2,100 and the builder had a set model that was 2,134, you're going to miss out on seeing any of that particular model. So if you know the builder, play with that square footage and make sure you're not just randomly isolating yourself out from a new home subdivision. Now, if you got older homes, you're not going to have that consistency. But if you're in a subdivision where there are a few specific models, and usually there are 5 different models or floor plans per, should we say, section for a subdivision. Some builders would build 1 or 2 sections, like you would have your basic scale homes, right? And then you have your slightly upgraded, and then you'd have your highly upgraded, right? And the floor plans for each would be slightly different, okay? But you need to kind of look around for that. So this is still only giving me one result, okay? So let's go to the map. Well, this is going to be fun on this. Okay, let's do this. Now we're going to zoom. Does everybody know you have a zoom to listing over here on your actions for this listing? You can click that and go to zoom to listing. Now it's going to get me really zoomed in and I want to zoom out. Oh, we are right on I-17. Okay. So how many of you know when you have a big subdivider like that, do you go on both sides of that or do you stay to one side of it? Stay on one side is one comment. Anybody else? Everybody's agreeing with that? Now, with this, with it being so close to the freeway, I would want to see both sides close to the freeway. Because if you've ever seen when homes are built up to the freeway, are they more expensive homes or less expensive homes? Less expensive homes. So the further I go to the east here, and I don't know how many of you know Bethany Home Road and 7th Avenue, right? When I get into these homes between Central and 7th Avenue and Bethany Home Road, those homes over here are going to be way more expensive than these right along the freeway. So in this scenario, I might actually split that freeway only because it's so close to the freeway, right? If it were over here on the other side of 19th Avenue, I definitely would not, I wouldn't even necessarily go right to the freeway. I would probably stop over here because I think you're going to see a different price point in these 3 strips here. You may see a different price point. But the point is right now, we are only pulling up right here in this little subdivision. So we need to expand that. I try not to go over major roadways, but here we really don't have much choice because we've got Bethany Home Road right here and we've got the freeway right here. So what I'm going to do, and this is hard on this small of a screen. Where is my, where's my controllers? Uh-oh. Anybody see him? To drawing a map.
Oh, yeah, there might be a little arrow on the side somewhere that pulls it back.
No, it's not overlays. Oh, they're up here. Oh, that's weird. How am I gonna get to that? Okay,
Map of anyways.
well, I can get to it. So let me just move this to where I want it. I got what I need, so we can grab that. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and click this, and if you hold down your finger on the mouse, you can move that around just a little. So I'm gonna do half mile here, and I'll go ahead and go to 19th Avenue, and I'm gonna come up to here. All right, so I've created that space. Now what I need to do is I need to take off my assessor book and map because we want to expand outside of that. The reason we used those was to get us to our location, okay? Once we get there, and if we don't have enough within that tight community, then we want to expand out. Now we have 8 properties to look at. So let's see what these eight properties are giving us. And by the way, this is a property that is under contract. It was listed at 459. It's a 4-bedroom, says plus a room, and 2-bathroom, 2277 square feet. It is a single-story home with a 2-car carport, right? Says it's a single-story home though. So what we're going to see, this is the property. I think this one on 24th Drive was the one that was the original property we were looking at. So it's listed at, whoops, 459. There are 2 active ones between 480 and 545. Okay, well, let's look at this one's photos to get an idea of our subject property first, right? Let's get an idea of this. Obviously, somebody's been through the property and taken a look at it. Can I see this better? Wow, this is hard on a small screen, guys.
Melissa put in assessor, also use active.
So the question is, would an assessor use the active? So they are going to look at what is active, but it's not going to have the weight the sold listings are going to have. The sold ones are what they're calculating off of, but they will look at some of that. I'm sorry, I'm missing the chat thing here. You're suggesting, well, the problem still is that if somebody spelled the subdivision wrong, that you won't necessarily see it. I'm sorry, I'm looking at a chat. The question was if you do a subdivision search using an asterisk before and after. The problem still is if the middle of your word is spelled differently, it won't pull them up. As far as I know, but it's a good guess. I think this just gets you there faster and you can move on. Now, the exterior of this home has not been updated. Looks like the windows have, you can see because they're the wider vinyl windows versus a metal, which would have been the original in a 1958. But the inside of this home has been updated. Even looks, is the popcorn ceiling gone?
Yes.
So popcorn ceiling is gone. They've opened up this room, it looks like, at some point. That probably had a narrower opening. So they've got 6-panel doors, so those are all updates. Flooring updated. See, these windows look like the original windows. Those were in the carport. We couldn't see them, couldn't tell from the carport. So the kitchen was updated, but I'm trying to see if the cabinets were original. The way you can usually tell if the cabinets were original is to see if the hinges are visible. Because in 1958, the hinges most likely would have been visible on the outside. It actually looks like they may have been updated cabinets. Obviously, the bathroom's been updated. Let's see if the other bathroom was updated. That's an inset shower, because you can tell with these little soap dish things over here. I am not sure that that tub was replaced, but definitely the cabinet and the sink were replaced. You can't even see down below here to see if the shut-off valve was updated. Usually you can tell that if it's been switched to a single 90-degree turn stop. Whoops, was that a... So they're doing a salon out of their home. Brick pavers, pool. Well, that's not a good sign to have the pool sand filter sitting out not connected. Hopefully there's something that is connected there. Okay, so let's go away from the photos. So let's see if we go look. Wow. Boy, these homes are all over the place. Let's go back to a list. 2140, 1900, 2000, 2132. So my hope is when I open the one on Claremont that this home has not been updated at all, right? We want to see these photos and hope that this home is in original condition inside and out. And it looks like it is, right? Because at 288, you don't want, yeah, there you go. Here's a good way to see. See, these are the original kitchen cabinets, right? So if you see something down there at 288, you're hoping that you're just tossing this out. This home has not been updated. It is not going to be comparable to this property. So that one's going to go away. Let's go to the next one on Barrage. Hopefully the same thing with these photos. I mean, if this has been totally updated, we are in trouble. And it has not. Look at that. You've still got the hinges. You've got the laminate countertops. You've got the box lighting. So again, you're tossing out and the flooring, right? Okay. So now we're at 465 and our property that we're looking at is at 459. So this one should have been updated. Now it's even more updated on the outside because the roof line has been kind of updated here. You can definitely see the new windows there, right? I'm not going to do the virtual tour because I want to be able to move through the rooms. This means they removed a wall and put a header in for support. Does have new flooring. Looks like they redid the ceiling and put in drop lighting. So that has been done. We're going to try to click through quickly here to the kitchen. New cabinetry, open this up, obviously all new. So this looks kind of a little better design than the other one. Let's see what the bathrooms look like. That is really nice, by the way. That is, well, you can only open it one way, but that's a huge window. Okay, fireplace. Let's get to about, oh, totally redone, right? So this is going to be an excellent comp for this one because this one's listed at 459. This one sold for 465. So we're going to check this. Let's see when this one sold. We're going to go down to the bottom. If you guys don't know, you need to come down here and look at this pricing and sale info. You need to double check if there were any concessions down here, and you want to look at the list price, and then really you want the sold price. So it sold for 465 and the date it closed was August 3rd. So about 6 months ago, I get that, but it was in better condition than this one, not very far off in terms of our price point. Now let's see what made this one at 490 go for so much more. Well, we're looking at more of a backyard, it looks like.
465 won't have a pool.
Hold on now. I don't think so.
Oh, no pool.
No pool, which may be where your difference is. Now, this has cabinets, and they're newer cabinets, but they're basic cabinets, if anything, right? They're really, really basic cabinets. They haven't even put hardware on them, but it's not that. It's the design of the wood itself. So not much to look at in the front of the house. This is fascinating. This did have a 1-car garage, though. The other one only had a carport. Obviously this is a, you know, redone countertop. That's fine. Looks like they scraped but did not do a really good job smoothing out that ceiling. You can see that texture is pretty rough. But it does have new flooring, it does have new windows here. This window over here, I'm gonna bet is a single pane window. Just because it does not have a wide edge around it. Obviously, if you're able to go to it, you can see the difference, but you can see the wide edge on this frame. All right, so trying to click through to see the bedroom, bathroom. So updated, but you know, very simple update there. I'm gonna guess that here's the master. So the other one with a tub was not the master. This is the master. That's nicely done, but certainly it's a small bathroom compared to the other one. So kind of interesting that they got $490. I'm gonna bet that there's a lot size difference here. So we're gonna go back here. We're gonna go back to the 465 to answer the question, did this one have a pool? And it did not have a pool, the one that sold at 465. This one at 490 did have a pool, and it's on an 8,300 square foot lot. Well, the one that's selling is an 8,600 square foot lot, so pretty similar. I'm not sure, maybe just the timing. Let's go down and see what happened here. Oh, wait a minute. The seller gave 4% in concessions to the buyer. It was an FHA loan. It did appraise then for 490, but 4% is, what is that?
$18,750.
Is that correct? Sorry, we're all in awe of Mark coming up with a number. I don't think it was right. I think it's close to $20,000. He's not that far off. But 4% is 20 grand, which takes this 490 down to 470, right? Puts it right back in that ballpark. That's why it's so important that you look at this, at this section right here to see what has been given as a concession. Now, again, closed at the same time. So, but look, it appraised. FHA said it appraised for the 490 with the 4% in concessions. But so I would actually still use that as a comp. An appraiser is going to take that 4% off, right? So it's going to go to your benefit. Now, we've got another one over here, a Barrage. Again, 8,000 square foot lot, 2,100 square foot home, no pool. Just huge jump in price. I'm going to bet this has to do with where the home is actually located. And I'll go back to that in just a second. This has a much nicer remodel. Wow. Okay. No garage, but a 2-car carport, fully remodeled, all new windows, doors, even the sliders, new kitchen, rooms. Walls have been opened up here. You've got a supporting column here, but you can see this has been really opened up. That was not the original design, folks, if you're familiar with the 1960s. So obviously we've got a beautiful redone hall bathroom. Let's see what the master bath looks like. Yeah, there's a huge walk-in there for the master bath shower. Okay, I'm going to go out of here. One of the things I want to look at is I want to see where this is on the map. So unfortunately, it's really, really hard to do this on a small screen. Okay, so here's the subject property right here along I-17. This one is the one over here. Where'd our subject property go? Okay, so that's on the other side of Bethany Home. That may account. Oh, actually, I want to see where the Barrage was. Barrage is right there. So I don't know. It's hard to say why that one got 560. I mean, that's great to try and pull up the value.
And it was FHA.
Not the 560. The 490 was the FHA.
I think the 560 was FHA.
Let's double check. Oh, it was. Oh, and look, $20,000 seller assist. So 540. So it did drop a little bit,
What's
but
the lot size?
it's the same. It's actually a little smaller. It's 8,000 instead of 8,600. So oftentimes you will see a huge jump in price with a larger lot size. Oftentimes you'll see the difference between 8,000 and 11,000 square foot lot. That's a big difference. In the city of Phoenix, and much of Scottsdale, 7,000 to 7,500 is an often a regular size lot. So you're going up and down from there. You'll see corner lots that are 10,000 or 11,000 square feet. If you get to a subdivision where you have a lot of every lot is 10,000 square feet, that's a different story and you will see a higher price point. But so this is giving you a lot to work with. You can certainly go look at the two that are currently listed to see what the differences are. Obviously this 545 is banking on that higher 560 price, whereas this 488 is banking on this, 450, 460, 470 price and trying to get, the dollars from that. So that is where I would start with. I did have another one to look at. I obviously don't have time because I went into detail on these. I'm sorry. I'll work with you on it later. I want to open this up for questions. I see I have a couple of chats here online. So Tidewater, Melissa Gasper brings up Tidewater. How many of you here in the room know what Tidewater is? Only a couple of you. So Tidewater is on a VA loan when the appraiser calls you as the listing agent and gives you some very, very fine categories that you have to stay within to provide other comps that are being used. Tidewater means you are not appraising, okay? You are being given the opportunity, that's what the Tidewater review is, to come up with comps that will show that the VA loan can appraise. But they will tell you, like you have to search with homes that were built maybe within 3 years. They're within a quarter of a mile or a half a mile. They have to be within 100 square feet. I mean, the restrictions are really, really tight. I can't tell you what the Tidewater is going to say because the appraiser sends the Tidewater out and it will give you very clear definition of what you have to search within. And you have to try and find a property within those boundaries that show the value in order to.
Why are they asking for that? Is that because there's a problem with the
Means that
appraisal?
they cannot find an appraisal, they
Got it.
cannot get to the appraisal value, yeah. So, did I miss a question? Okay. Any
No, I-
other, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that, if there is one that is VA and it seems like it's above the price point of others in the neighborhood, that, on any other appraisal, you don't get the opportunity. They're just like, boom, here's the appraisal. If it's low, it's low. But if it's VA, they may have had the opportunity to provide extra evidence.
True, but it's usually very restrictive. That's the experience I've had is whenever I get that Tidewater, it's like you are stuck having to find something within such tight parameters that you can't find anything. And that makes the challenge, right? That's the difficulty. All right, anybody else online? I can't see you guys. You can unmute and ask questions. Dave, any questions? Oh, you're muted. Hit your space bar. Nope. There you go.
Yeah, first of all, I'm sick. That's why
Oh
I'm,
no.
yeah, that's why I didn't come in. No, you covered a lot. It was really good stuff.
Okay. Ami, any questions? No?
No, I'll have some questions with you in person.
Any other questions here? We've got about 8 people here. Guys, any other questions?
Just one suggestion.
Yeah.
One of the things I will do, especially in the last few years when we have such an influx of flippers
Oh,
and wholesale deals, when I went in and researched the other properties that were lower at 360, 488, they did state, if you just look at Monsoon, it states that it was a regular purchase. I forgot what the terminology is, but
so if you go, whoops, here, let me, was this one a flip or no? Do you-
yes,
The one that's under contract? Okay.
yes.
So what he's saying is when you go to Monsoon, you want to look at the info on Monsoon.
Include the new owner is, if you see an LLC, if you see like an LC, is you know, they probably got it at that low because of a good deal.
So what he's saying, where can I find this? So over here, you will see this, the phrase normal sale, right? So you want to look at something where you have either a normal sale or warranty deed. Sometimes you'll see a special deed here and you'll see cash, right? And so what he's saying is, let's see if I can go back to the list and pull up a different one. So this one on Claremont, let's see who bought this one. And you can see that, whoops, not go there. So if we go into the detail on this and go to Monsoon, you will probably see that an investor bought this, and sometimes it'll say, sorry for those online if I'm just flying through this. So the buyer, so here's the buyer of an LLC. This actually says normal sale. That's unusual. I don't think that was really see, this says non-MLS, right? This is where the sale happened for $128,000 in 2013. No, I don't know.
So a lot of them, I notice more and more because people are hunting, you know, MLS for
Right.
deals. So a lot of times it gets tagged as normal sale, but it was still an investment deal.
Yeah, this actually seems like it was more of an investment deal, but then it's the estate of him selling to an LLC and it's saying it's a normal sale for 288. But, you know, in 2023, buying something for 288,000 is,
So again,
and then selling it again, well, the same day. So here's your wholesaler, right? This is the same day sale. They bought it for 288 and they sold it for 325 on the same day. So that was a wholesaler picking it up, right? And so this is now saying a flip. It's weird that this is saying a normal sale, but they bought it through the MLS and did a wholesale flip, right? So that's where you're seeing that jump. And you do need to look at those because you should not be using this as a comp, right? These people are going to go in and either flip it again for more dollars without doing
They
anything.
did it right away.
It's the
No,
same
fine.
day.
It's a double close.
Yeah. No, it
Yeah.
was not a double close. So
It's not okay.
it was done back to back. So I don't actually think they wholesaled it. They sold it once and then sold it again, because part of what we miss half the time is it'll go the estate to AGR and you won't see the I'm in Mud LLC in there. If a wholesaler actually does it, you don't necessarily see both
Yeah,
recordings.
assignments that you usually don't know before the sentence.
Yeah, if it was an assignment, it would have gone directly through and you don't see it. And yeah, well, I'm not going to record my comment on that. So yeah, so keep my mouth shut. So any other questions, comments?
I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
Regarding an appraiser.
Yep.
Okay, not with us doing comparables, but with an appraiser. When they pull up comparables, what square footage do they not compare? In other words, is it if you have a 2,000 square foot home that you're trying to comp, an appraiser is not going to look at 1,400 square feet, is not going to look at 3,000 square feet. Is there a number that they
Well,
search within?
well, I think the key is what is the number they use before they start adjusting, right? Because they may actually pick up a home that is 500 square feet off, but at that point, they're going to adjust for that square footage differential, not just the bedrooms or bathrooms, but they're going to adjust for the square feet, right? And I think where a lot of agents make mistakes is if you have a lot square footage that is way different, right? So let's say you have a 13,000 square foot lot and an 8,000 square foot lot because you happen to have a really beautiful corner lot that is way bigger than most of the other ones in the subdivision, and everything else is an 8,000 square foot lot. A lot of agents want to use that cost per square foot. Well, cost per square foot which one? Are you comparing the lot size? Or are you comparing the square footage? Because if you take something on a 13,000 square foot lot, same square footage, or let's say 200 square feet difference, let's have a little adjustment, right? And the lot size on an 8,000 square foot lot, and then you say, well, it sold for $400 a square foot. Hold on a minute, you've got 5,000 square foot difference in a lot size. You can't just change and multiply cost per square foot. It doesn't work that way.
Mhm.
There are other things that are different. So your question is, you know, what will an appraiser use as that they'll use as comps? But really, if it doesn't quite fit, they're going to start adjusting.
Right.
Right. So that's why I usually use between 250 and 300. To me, if you're going over 300, there's got to be an adjustment in your formulas to try and adjust per square foot. If you're doing something that's 2,000 square feet and comparing it to 2,500 square feet, that's a different, there's got to be a value adjustment for that. The same thing if you saw the difference in some of these remodels, right? If you've got a home that's remodeled the kitchen but hasn't remodeled either bathrooms, and you've got a home you're comparing to that's remodeled 2 bathrooms and the kitchen, okay, you're gonna have an adjustment on the interior. Now, I'm not doing a full, let's do all these adjustments. I was just trying to get people to at least the location to try and find homes. You should take the time to try and look at, you know, what is it. In this case, honestly, they came out pretty close to that property, right? We found 2 or 3 that were pretty similar in terms of renovation quality, size, age built. Might have to do a little adjustment for one had a pool, no pool, right? Adjust a little off of that. But in general, at least we were in the same ballpark. What I've been seeing recently, especially with the limited sales last year, is trying to find a home that's even remotely similar is the challenge. So, but
I agree with you, Melissa. Sorry to interrupt. I was just gonna say the same sort of thing is you can narrow it down, but there just hasn't been that many sales really in the last 90 days to a year, really.
Right.
And once you do narrow it down, that's more important. They're not gonna search outside of the area before they start searching back 6 months or 8 months or a year, and then making those adjustments based on the 1004 MC, probably the market conditions report. Right?
Correct. So what I did not do here is the 1004 MC, which I do regularly and in our office meetings. So I'll just actually do that really quickly here so you guys can see that. Let me go back to our list. I should have clicked the 459 and I clicked a couple of these. I didn't pick that last one. Let's just go ahead and throw that in there, even though it is a little more expensive. But what you actually do in your edit search, you actually want to do this, and you do want to take this back 365 just to get the full year background to see what's adjusted. And oops. Let's see if my computer is going to work with me here. And I'll show you how to get to that 1004 that Melissa Gasper was commenting. Well, we'll see if we can trick this. Okay,
And
so it's go ahead.
I was gonna say, while you're doing that, whenever you can, ask your buyer for the appraisal and look at it and see what they're adjusting, because that's the only way I learned. Like when I had a condo on the first floor, that the second floor was adjusted 5,000 and the third floor was adjusted 10,000, or like one I had backing to a busy street was adjusted 10,000. So I like to look at them and just see what these appraisers are doing or thinking in every different market. And then we don't have to really guess what the difference in value is going to be for those things.
Hey, I'm clicking these because I want to make sure that the Claremont one and we'll grab that one, but I'm not going to grab this Barrage one because we'd already looked at that and that was in bad condition. Okay, so what you do is you go to your CMA and I'm going to click use selected. and then you click on statistical, go to next. And here you're going to go down to the 1004 MC. You can leave the total stats there, but for now, we're just going to undo it just so we see. It's going to automatically go back a year. And let's just view this. What this is going to show us is the progression over the last year of what actually was moving, right? And the active listings, the housing supply, which is saying next to nothing, right, in the past 4 to 6 months. I don't have the active clicked, which is why this is not showing up. I should have clicked those. And you can see that it shifted upwards here 4 to 6 months ago. And then it's got this one at 459, which is the one we had, we were looking at. So what you're seeing is that upward trend a little bit in terms of median sales price to 7 to 12 months to the prior 4 to 6 months. What you're looking for is that trend, and appraisers do this, right? When the appraiser is saying on the report that the market is trending upwards or downwards or flat, this is the report they're looking at to see how that trend is working, right? They're going to this 1004 in their system, trying to see what is happening with those properties in that neighborhood. That's why they comment in this area. This is what's happening. All right. Okay, I've run a little over. Thank you guys for sticking with me. Please join us this afternoon at the chili cook-off. We've got some chili. We've got some chili cheese coming. We've got chips. We've got beer and margaritas. We've got sodas. So please come enjoy some food and visit with some other realtors this afternoon. Thank you so much and have a great afternoon and a great week. We've got closings today. I'm excited to share and looking forward to a strong week ahead. All right.
Thank
Have a
you,
good one.
Melissa.
Thank you.